If you don't take that time to get a little bit inspired and then to go back and then change the systems in your life, it's, super important. So I think it's important to be inspired, to be able to have a goal or at least a general outline of like where you want to go so that you can say, okay, this thought's not getting me there. Let's bring that back in line.
That's right.
With what that inspiration was.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. This is the Winning in Winnipeg podcast, where we talk to top performing business owners, executives, entrepreneurs, and local Winnipeg celebrities. We get to hear their perspective about what's really going on in Winnipeg and their business. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Bobby Wall, one of Winnipeg's top realtors. Bobby has set himself apart as one of the go-to guys for luxury real estate and has some extremely large transactions under his belt. One thing that Bobby and I have in common is we are value-based businesses. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. In the world of realtors, it's really tough to stand out. So let's dive into what has made Bobby and his team successful and what we can all learn about the business of real estate. Bobby.
Buddy.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. A lot of fun.
You were away for a long time.
I was. Yeah, we were away for quite a while. So we were in Mexico for about a month, which we like to do when it starts getting cold. And it works pretty well with our business cycles. Being in real estate, things are really cyclical, as you well know. So it's really fantastic to be able to get away and unplug for a little while. I think every time I'm away, one of the things I realize more than anything is like my attempt to do absolutely nothing. And I mean like as nothing as I could humanly possibly do. Yeah. I find so much more value of things and ideas that I think about when I have zero distractions of any kind that I come back with. And I'm like, oh, I'm really glad I did nothing as hard as I could. Yeah. Because then you come back and you work your butt off and you forget.
Kind of like when you're in the shower and ideas come to you, where you're just not.
It's not thinking. It's like it's more like time. Like the longer you're away from your typical context of life, nothing is the same, and you just stay off of like your electrical devices. Everything's different. Like you just got the opportunity to literally get so bored that you start thinking of all the things, all the little idiosyncrasies in your life, all these little bits, all these little details. And you always start adding things up and think, hey, wait a second. Did I just figure something out? That's a good idea. When I get back, I'm going to employ that and see how that works. Yeah. When it like real estate, marketing, like life, being a dad, whatever, just like something new.
Kind of like driving in the ruts in the winter and then just hammering out of them. Totally. And then taking it.
It's exactly like that. Yeah. It's like a fresh winter storm. It's like everything's all fresh snow again. Yeah. So then you're not stuck in a rut, like in a mental rut. Yeah. Right? Because we all get stuck in our lives so much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a double-edged sword, right? Like routine, not only for kids, but also for efficiency and productivity. Routines are amazing. And consistency. Right?
Yeah, like definitely.
I find that even for the podcast, for my checking, financial reports and stuff like that, if I don't stay consistent, then I have a big problem.
I think consistency is key for anything, for sure. It doesn't matter what it is, except when it comes to inspiration.
Yeah.
No, like I agree. You get no inspiration out of consistency. Typically,
consistent stress.
You can get consistent outcomes, but you rarely can get a consistent outcome. Yeah, that's not something artistic, something different, something abstract. You kind of rut yourself in, but you need to be able to do that in business because that's how you can track data and that's how you can perform. That's how you can understand. That's how you can serve people better by looking at the data and then having an after action report, looking at what you've done, what you can do better, and you keep moving forward that way. Yeah. But you can't really change anything.
Yeah, no, you can't. Yeah. Well, it's the typical, you're not working on your business versus in, right? And it's funny you mentioned that because I used to, and I should probably do it because I haven't done it in a long time, is take like 3 to 5 days and just simply shut everything off.
Yeah.
And then I used to do this in a group called Warrior that I was part of.
Oh, yeah.
And I would go down with a bunch of other guys down to Laguna Beach, California, and we'd sit in a room for like 3 to 5 days and then just think. Think about your life, think about different aspects of it. And, you shouldn't be taking phone calls. You shouldn't, all this stuff. Because what you're saying is just like, you cannot get out of the rut when you're when your brain is just focused on
consumed in minutia.
Yeah.
Like working on your business or working in your business is like now I'm starting to realize as I'm getting older, working in your life and working on your life it's exactly the same concept. Like your life is almost like a business. And if you're just in it, grinding, like dropping kids off at daycare, doing this, go to the office, get that thing done, come home, make sure everyone's fed, go to whatever, like karate lessons, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
You're like, you're in it and you don't get to appreciate that you don't even get to appreciate that you're in it.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest thing really, because my son's not very old. Like he's getting closer to 3 years old now. And I'm not that young. I'm not particularly old, but I'm not young. I certainly had kids at an older age than typical people do. So I'm in a position where I can like take the time to like enjoy my son growing up. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pay attention here because this is something I'm probably gonna miss as I get older. And everybody tells me, right? When you're young, it's not really something you can afford to do. You can't be like, I'm gonna take a month away.
Yeah.
And
wisdom usually comes with age a little bit, right? You can fast track that by, really surrounding yourself with wise people and doing that. But generally, and like you're talking about also awareness, right?
Yeah, I think I'm just more aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I get older, I'm getting more aware of where my time is spent for sure.
Or where your mind's at, like what you're focusing on.
Actually, very much so where my mind is focusing.
Yeah.
For sure. But I got a lot of that from doing martial arts when I was very young too, right?
Okay.
So it's called Kyokushin, it's a type of karate.
Okay.
So it's, you really kind of you get forced to focus.
Yeah.
So if you're at a younger age, I think if you get forced to focus, I didn't appreciate it as much then, but now as I get older, I'm like, your ability to look at your thoughts and not be in them becomes much more apparent. Where you can think, where you can choose. There's a choice. You can have a choice of an attitude, and then you think, no, I can choose to how I'm going to react to the situation as to be just reacting to that situation.
I'm angry versus I'm feeling angry. Like you're
totally,
or the inverse, right?
Yeah,
you can recognize your emotions, or you can recognize your thoughts.
Yeah.
When did you get into kind of all of this awareness, meditation, anything like that?
Honestly, it did happen a long time ago when I had first started doing some martial arts. I happened to have who I would consider like a very wise teacher at the time, like sensei. He was from Argentina. And so we would do certain things consistently, of course, because it's karate and it's very systematized. But then it was like every Friday after the beginning, it was after the end of every class, everyone would sit down, the lights would go off, and you'd meditate. And that was like part of it, right? And it was Japanese martial arts, so that all goes hand in hand. And from learning that, I was like, oh yeah, it's very interesting because it all started there. Yeah. So then you kind of learn to you are not your thoughts, like you have a choice over that. You can decide, and you can, for better way to say it, you can manipulate your thoughts, and that's your choice. You get to do that anytime you want.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's something that's a constant work because you always also forget that all the time.
Yeah.
It's like every day you forget that, and then you're pissed off about something, and then you're like, what am I doing? This is stupid. Yeah. I can make a better choice here. So then you realign, make a better choice, and then try to start it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think that ever goes away.
One of my coaches always said, we wake up crazy every morning, and it's our job to get our minds back into alignment and into the direction that we want to go. Yeah. It's,
well, I think that brings it back to sorry to cut you off, but
not at all.
The inspiration aspect of it, taking time to be inspired by something, no matter how small or big it is, just even the smallest little fun thought where I'm like, oh, I can tweak this thing in my business. I think it'll make a big difference, even if it's small, or my life or something. But if you don't take that time to get back to that time to get a little bit inspired and then to go back and then change the systems in your life, it's, super important. So I think it's important to be inspired, to be able to have a goal or at least a general outline of like where you want to go so that you can say, okay, this thought's not getting me there. Let's bring that back in line.
That's right.
With what that inspiration was. Yeah.
We've, I learned a way to really attack thoughts. And it was we called it the stack. And stack was like, it was based off of a whole bunch of questions that you ask yourself about something you're telling yourself, so a story. Yeah. And in that regards, you took any story and you could point your mind any direction you wanted and make yourself find facts to support it. Like our minds are phenomenal, right? And they'll do whatever you tell them to.
Well, now you can trick yourself into so much stuff.
Oh yeah,
positive or negative. That's right. That's right. And it works on both sides of that coin. Right. I'm reading this book right now. That's Bob Rotella. It's like he's a sports psychologist, and golf is not a game of perfect, and it's essentially just that. It's like the thinking of, well, either you're just gonna, you know what to do. You got your mechanics down. You're gonna trust what you know, and you're gonna get out there and you're gonna do it. And that's what you're gonna see. That's what's gonna happen. And on the other side of that coin, it's the same thing. Someone hits one bad shot, and then they're like, "Fuck," and that's it. Like the whole thing is shot.
Yeah,
right?
The cards come down.
Yeah, and that's why I love golf so much. And it's not because it's not like a particularly physically demanding sport, unless you're at like a very high level. And even then, I mean,
John Daly.
Exactly. What I was going to say, John Daly. Yeah. But I mean, it's such a mental game because it can so easily anger you. That's what I like about it the most, because you can get so easily bothered by it. Yeah. With one bad shank in the middle of a good game that you're forced to like face yourself all the time. Yeah. If you're like, it's time to choose another thought, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I've turned to humor. I have to go to humor during my golf game because those 37 balls that I lose in the forest really doesn't help.
Well, you also you strike me as the kind of guy, and I've known you for quite a while now, like over the years, not fantastically well, but I got a very good sense of your personality. Yeah. Like you're a pretty motivated, intense kind of a guy. You don't come off as that when you meet you, but I find most people that come off very calm are usually the exact opposite on the inside, typically. Yeah. Like they've worked hard to be calm a lot of the time. So yeah, I could see where golf, it's like it gets things revved up. Or like you got to just say, fuck it. Yeah. Well, such as it is. I'm here to have a nice time.
Yeah, I used to play. I tried to play a lot. So I had a membership at Niagara for a while, and I tried to golf a lot, and I got better and better, and then I plateaued. Yeah, and then I stopped playing for a little bit, and I was horrible again. Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, it's either I have this much time, and if I don't have that time, then I'm just gonna lose my mind every time I play. Yeah, but it's different. So, but I like. I have noticed, and like you said, and I've noticed that too about you is, you're very calm. You come across as that. Yeah. But I've also noticed that too in your rebranding. Your rebranding is, and it's probably not recent, but all the stuff that I see about you online is very, it's luxurious. It's high end. It's calming. It's like, I really like that. So I want to dive into your branding.
Yeah, sure.
First, what I want is just a little background. Give me a little background. You're born and raised in Winnipeg.
Yeah, born and raised in Winnipeg. Okay. And when I was younger, I had worked on a lot of different industries. So like working in plumbing and heating, electrical, foundation, concrete, like all kinds of stuff, right? Okay. And that's just the way that it was in my family. You work when you're young, and you work, and that's how it used to be a number of generations ago. And lots of people still are like that. Yeah. And then, so I learned a lot about construction then. And I'd worked actually long enough in the industry to challenge some provincial examinations to become a power engineer when I was quite young. So I did that for a little bit. But again, like it was very obvious, like working with people was certainly best for me.
Yeah.
Worked in some restaurants, nightclubs, that kind of stuff, stuff you do when you're young. But again, too, like I didn't really have any formal education. And I realistically, I really still don't. I have very little formal education. So it's just the trial and error of figuring stuff out. And that's really how it all happened. And that's how I got into real estate in the first place too, because I had the opportunity to purchase a home that was quite derelict for not a lot of money. And it was like very plain to see to anyone that was a very good deal. So I said, okay, yeah, I'm going to purchase this house. I'll fix it up. I'll sell it. And I'm past a year because then you don't have capital gains at the time. It was a year. So lived in it for a year and a half or something like that. And then moved on to another house, sold it, did quite well. And just like burned through that money so fast. Because that's what you do when you're young and you don't know any better.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, great, I'm going to have some fun. But I did recognize very quickly at that moment, I'm like, real estate is a very diverse industry and there's a million different things you can do in it. But I liked it. Like, I liked it because I understood it. Like, I could quickly understand how things are built, how they're made, what kind of numbers they can produce, like income producing properties, the commercial real estate, that kind of stuff. So that was, it was really easy for me to just fall into that. And so I was managing properties at a little property management company. And I was managing properties for myself and managing properties for other friends. Yeah. And I was working with lots of real estate agents at the time, buying and selling properties. And I thought, a lot of these people that I'm working with just really they don't cut the mustard. Why do I know so much more about real estate than these people that I'm paying to know more about real estate than I should? Mm-hmm. And so I thought, well, I'll just go get my license and trade my own real estate because I'm already doing it. Yep. And that's kind of how it all started. So then I was like trading real estate for myself and trading real estate for other friends and family and whatnot. And then I was like, oh, this is also lucrative. And also I like it. And I'm very naturally good at it. Yeah. So I thought, oh, okay, great. I'm going to put some effort into that. And then that's kind of where that took off. And that was quite a long time ago now. Like, I'm not even sure how long I've been a real estate advisor, but like 13, 15 years, something like that. Yeah. Somewhere around there. Anyway, I kind of remember. Yeah. So that's kind of how it all started. So it was really by happenstance. Like I wasn't, like, I don't know, people have asked me before, how do you know you wanted to be in real estate? I'm like, I still don't know that I still don't know who I want to be. Like, I don't know what I want to be. I know who I am and I know what I enjoy, but I don't know what I want to be.
When I grow up, I'll choose a career.
Yeah. It could change at any moment, but like, I'm still enjoying it a lot. Like it's fruitful. I'm serving people. I like what I'm doing. It's very multifaceted. I meet a lot of interesting people. Yeah. So I'm like, it's good. It's fun. I enjoy doing it. Why change anything right now? And that's what I'll keep doing until I don't like it anymore.
So residential, commercial, do you do developments? Are you part of that? Are you part of anything?
Yeah, well, so, I mean, like I've done a lot of commercial and I still understand it extremely well. And I still like to invest in commercial real estate. And commercial multifamily. So I've done a lot of that and I know it really well, but I really do just focus on the residential and kind of the more affluent side of the residential, realistically. I guess my branding and the way that I've poised myself and my team lends itself to that kind of real estate a little bit more so. So that's the type of clientele that we get. And once you start working with those kinds of clientele, you know, your friends, family, other coworkers, and that's kind of how that business grows. Yeah. So then we do lean on that side, but we still do help everybody in residential real estate. And it's still fun, you know. Somebody selling a $250,000 house is sometimes even more fun than working with someone selling a $5 million house. It's just...
Depends on the person, I suppose.
It depends on the person, yeah. And there's just lots of different facets of people, you know? Yeah.
So I noticed that you put, and you talk about core values on there, and that to me coming up was, I never understood it, mission statements and all that stuff, right? Until I actually developed my own personal core values. Yeah. And then I started thinking, well, why would I have any different core values for my company than I do for myself? And then, so then I started applying that, and we wrote the Builder Code of Ethics, which was how we make decisions based off of those values.
Yeah, right.
And so I noticed you had yours up. take me through a little bit about your values and how that impacts your business.
Well, the reason why we have the core values up there was it's a reminder for myself and the people that work for me, of course. The reason why we put it up there is because we did start hiring other agents working. Like I started hiring other agents working for me, and I wanted to make sure there was a very cohesive moral code, so to speak, within everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is what we do. Like, if we're not just here to make money, if you have to do something that's clearly right and you're going to lose money from doing it, you better fucking do that. Because if you don't, you're not welcome here. Like, this is not about making money. It's about helping. Like, it's about serving. It's about helping, right? If you do it really well, you'll make a profit. Sometimes you won't, but it always comes back to you. It really doesn't matter, And I wanted people to see that too. Like, real estate agents are a dime a dozen, really, honestly. They're everywhere, especially since the governing bodies had changed the legislation so that in Manitoba you could have another job while you practiced real estate.
Yeah, that really opened it up.
It really opened it up. So now everyone and their dog can just go get a real estate license, and all of a sudden they're professional, and they can poise themselves as someone that should be giving you advice on some of the largest assets you'll be buying in your lifetime.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's not very true, So I really did want to differentiate us to be like, look, we're not just out here. We're humans, just like everyone else, just like you buying and selling houses. We do the same stuff. Here's what we believe in, And if you believe in that same kind of stuff, then yeah, we're apt to work together. And I mean, the real estate industry as a whole, it's cutthroat for sure. Like, it doesn't matter what side of the industry you're on, whether you're building homes or you're buying or selling or representing people buying and selling homes. Like, it's totally cutthroat.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people out there that will just steamroll someone to make a buck. I like to make a profit, but if you want me to steamroll someone to do it, fuck off. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that energy around me.
Yeah.
And so again, here's our core values. Like, if your values don't align with our values to some degree, I don't care how much money I can make from you. I don't care. It's irrelevant. We don't want to work with you.
Yeah. I noticed very quickly that, so we do a lot of YouTube educating. We share a lot on YouTube. I noticed your blog, and you do video blogs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Educating the client, right? And that's huge. But another thing that we do too is share about our values. And I noticed that once I started doing that, I actually scared people, like the wrong people, away.
Yeah, definitely.
And that I saw that in my client base, because a lot of builders take the wrong clients for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
And so then you have really shitty clients that your values don't align and the interests don't align and everything like that. And everything actually about the home building business, the way that it's typically structured, is not aligning interests, let alone talking about values.
Yeah.
And so I found, like, everyone's like, oh, have you had any bad clients? And I'm like, not really. Like, I don't gel well. If I sit down with someone and we can pretty much tell that, my completely transparent communication and open book, and, I'll tell you what I think, stuff like that. If that's not how they live their lives, we don't gel.
Well, we get that same, like, I get not a lot of that same stuff, but it is, like I've certainly scared off clients before. By just telling them the truth of what I think about something.
Yeah. Being yourself, right?
Yeah. It's not even being myself, because it's like what's going to come out of my mouth is always going to be myself. But I mean,
well, that's not true for everyone though, right?
Well, no, fair.
Like,
well, yeah,
for
fair.
you, yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, there's no way that I'm very skilled at what I do, but there's nothing I can do to trick somebody into paying so much more for your home than what the typical market value should be for that home. And nobody else is going to do that for you either, no matter what they say. It just doesn't work. It's like the numbers, it's just mathematical facts, right? I get this every once in a while. Someone's like, oh, let's put up my house for this. And if you got someone, like, try to get someone from Vancouver that doesn't know any better and they got lots of money, they're moving back to Winnipeg. I'm like, that is idiotic. like just because they have more money, because houses are worth a lot more in Vancouver or Toronto, so they sold their house there and they've done very well. They're moving to Winnipeg, so their budget is very healthy.
Spend whatever.
Let's just spend whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm like, they don't have money because they're stupid with money. Like that doesn't make any sense. So when people say stuff like that to me, I'm like, I'm not here to try to trick somebody into paying more for your house than it's worth, guys. That's not my position. My position is to help you get the most amount of money you can for what you have here, for something that's fair for all parties.
Yeah, that's fair.
And like, if I'm going to represent somebody coming in as a buyer, I'm not going to try to trick them. You know, it doesn't make sense. So yeah, here's my core values. Yeah. If somebody else tells you can sell it for $250,000 more than I can, you should probably just go with them then.
That's right.
Because I'm just going to tell you that doesn't make sense. I don't have the data to support that.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know how, I can't see how we can make that happen.
Yeah.
But if somebody tells you that and you believe them, then that's fine.
I've told many a client to go build with the other builder that says that he can build it for $200,000 less.
Yeah, and that happens. And then by the time they're through the process, it was $400,000 more.
That's right.
Which is always what happens. Yeah. And same with like underpricing to get the business of someone building a house, or overpricing a house to try to get someone in there that just maybe will pay a little bit too much. Yeah. Like you always end up
generally in the same spot.
Yeah, because like when it comes to building, things are extremely commoditized. For the most part, right? Like things cost what they cost.
Almost like the price is the price. Yeah.
The price is the price. Like there's going to be some leeway in a few things here and there. Maybe you can make it up on difference or
mistakes
something.
Too, right?
Mistakes, that kind of stuff. But it's not going to change if everyone has the same plans.
That's right.
And the same finishes and the same design book and everything on it. Like they don't get a 50% discount somewhere that you don't know about.
That's right.
Like that's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the market doesn't change that much.
There's small ones, right? Like, like the bigger companies, they're in buying groups. They can get, they mass buy all of most of their stuff, and they save incrementally. They do, absolutely. But the big changes or the big issues come from, and when I said interests weren't aligned, is fixed price contract. Like I'm a cost plus guy. I'm an open book cost plus.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is on a fixed price contract, you are not aligned with your client, because it's your role to not only build this place for a set amount, but you also have to make your margin. And if there's an issue there, you have to eat it.
So that does happen. So like I work there. So what I've seen is, of course, cost plus, which is very transparent. Here's what we're going to hopefully accomplish.
Yep.
Here's what we're going to do.
Yep.
And then everyone comes out generally doing well. You've made some money building the house. They're happy with what's happened in the house, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
Barring any major mistakes or anything, of course, on either part.
Yep.
But fixed price contracts for builders aren't as advantageous, but they're very advantageous for the buyers. I find that there's a lot of builders that have fixed price contracts.
Yeah.
Because then here you go. Here's the price. You're like, great. That's the price I'm paying for all of this. That takes a lot of it takes even more planning though.
Yeah.
From the beginning to ensure, especially on the builder's part, to ensure that what the buyer is getting is what they think they're getting, and that what they think they're building him is what they're actually going to be building them.
That's right. Yep.
So that there's a lot of questions that need to be answered before there.
Yeah.
But then there's the fixed, or not even the fixed price. It's like with escalation clauses and all these builds, and like those ones are always scary.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like, yes, I want to build this house for $750,000 or 1.2 or $3 million. Like, okay, great. But if the price of this goes up, this goes up. If this happens, this goes up. If that happens, this goes up. If you make a change here, this goes up, blah, 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 blah. And then next thing you know, it's 25% more than you had started. And well, guess what? You're still under contract.
That's right.
You agreed.
Yeah.
You agreed to that kind of. And so they can juice that a lot of the time.
Well, so cost plus comes down to trust is probably the number one, right? You have to trust that your builder has your best interest in mind and is your advocate, but also experience and, their ability to follow through with what they're doing.
Yeah.
I can see, and I absolutely agree that fixed price contracts make sense in tract home building because
Yes.
they've built those homes 1,000 times. They know their price is down to the penny.
Oh yeah.
Like it's efficient for them. They make a bigger spread because of that. Like for me to come in and even build their home, that exact same home.
Yeah.
That's the first time I built it. Right. I'm not
totally.
I'm going to have like an 80% efficiency rate on it.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
85, whatever it is.
Yeah.
These guys are at like 97, 98, you know?
Oh yeah. They've done it 10,000 times.
That's right. So it absolutely makes sense. And I think that for, when buyers come in, you always play, what do you want? Like, is it security? Is it, financial? Is it time? Is it, you can choose one of these three things. You can choose two of them, but you can't have all of them. Right. So yeah, it's an interesting, perspective, I suppose. The other one about, from a builder's, and so there's always the bank, the builder, and the client.
Yeah.
In building homes anyways.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
And a lot of what the building community does is the builders act as the bank until it's built.
Yes.
And like as a little builder, and especially for custom homes, we're building $3 million homes. It's just like, no,
You can't.
Where am I going to bankroll
you're
that?
Sitting on a lot of.
You've got the bank who's billions and billions and billions, and the clients that's coming in, they should be able to afford a $3 million home if that's what they're building.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, I want the builder to bankroll it. You're like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. No.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, and you're going to pay me every 2 weeks. If I don't do something, you're not going to pay.
Well, it does. Well, it certainly does make it a lot easier for the builder, especially when you're doing like hiring custom homes.
Oh yeah.
Because again, you're doing 3 or 4 of those at once, what are you gonna do? Bankroll $10 million on a rotating line of credit where like out of the ether, like where are you gonna get that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that does make sense too. Yeah. But I mean, again, like Winnipeg is Winnipeg is a really funny place, as in like there's lots of opportunity in Winnipeg. The market's has changed. And so a lot of builders have stopped building because when interest rates were very low, and things were sounding like absolute fire, like you could sell anything, like no problem.
1990s, 2000s, 2010,
totally, yeah.
Right?
And like, so people that had no building experience for anything just came in and started like building homes, building infill homes, building this, building that, because they could sell them no problem.
That's right.
And there was a lot of like real fly by night kind of
homes
being built, and they were absolute garbage. And now, as soon as it's a little more challenging, I wouldn't even say challenging, I would say normal. As soon as it's now like kind of a normal, more so balanced market, all those builders are gone.
Yeah.
Because like no one wants to buy their homes anymore.
That's right.
Because they're garbage. So it's kind of like their survival of the fittest, like the people that are good at what they do and are building quality products and have a reputation for it now. It doesn't really matter if the market's up or down. You're still just doing good business.
Yeah.
It's the same on the real estate side of things. When it's interest rates you can get a mortgage for 1.9% or something like that. Everyone gets a real estate license and it's just absolute chaos. And then when you actually have to know what you're doing, well, then they're not around anymore.
Yeah.
It's like the attrition rate for real estate professionals is, I don't know what I think it's like 70% Like it's super, 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 super high.
Yeah.
Past like a year's time.
Yeah.
So
I heard one stat that was, I forget, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it was like 50% of realtors make less than $7,000 off of their commissions, or it's some ridiculous thing that was just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like with how little home, and that's probably the ones that just have it in their back pocket and they'll sell a home a year.
Yeah. They'll just help some family or friends like or whatever it was. Like that.
But yeah, it's an interesting profession and very, I've had my ups and downs with, with it myself and realtors. But so back to, Bobby Wall and your business, who's your ideal client and what does the journey look like when they start with you?
Well, yeah, you know what? That's a funny question. Like I've answered this to myself like 100 different times, and I keep kind of coming up with the same answer as to where like my ideal client I don't really have one. It comes down to like my ideal client is somebody that needs somebody they can trust, that needs some help.
Okay.
That's kind of it. And I mean, like Winnipeg isn't a market that's so big that I can just say, oh, I only do houses over $2 million.
Yeah.
Or I only do this or I only do that. If you're in real estate and you live in Winnipeg, like you should know Winnipeg like the back of your hand. It's not very big.
Yeah.
Like if people asked you, do you specialize in this area? I specialize in Winnipeg and like everything around it. It's just not a big enough place to say, I only want to take this kind of client or this kind of client,
Okay.
So it really is just like people that genuinely want some help, realistically. Like we do a lot of larger, more substantial homes, definitely in more affluent areas.
Yep.
But we still just help everybody, really. And I think maybe there's a bit of a disconnect in that from our branding perspective, because yes, the majority of our business is over there, but we still do a lot of business, in the typical home buying and selling ranges.
Yeah.
And it's not that the process isn't any different. Realistically, it's the same.
Yeah.
Residential real estate is residential real estate. It's not that complicated. It's really just people that genuinely want help and need help and trust us to do it. So getting back to that, now that I'm thinking about it, people that simply trust me. That's what it is. My ideal client is someone that trusts me to do what I know how to do. That's it. That's the whole thing. Because you don't have to call me and want to hire me and then tell me what you specifically want done and how to do it. You don't, if you already know that, you don't need me then, do you? You know what I mean? If you trust me to do and advise to the very best of my ability what I think is best for your personal situation, then it will go good every time. Yeah. Just let me take the helm. That's what I'm here for.
And where do you find most of these people are coming in from? So you already mentioned, word of mouth and friends of friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
But is that where you find most of the business come from? Does your marketing bring people in? Do they come in via?
Well, it does. Yeah. So our marketing is and has been for quite a few years extremely effective. So we get a lot of new clients coming in from digital places.
Okay.
Right. Marketing funnels, coming back to the website. But then that just goes back to informational pieces that we've done, all the marketing that we've done, how we market homes. There's a lot of people that see a lot of the stuff that we have. So they feel like they kind of know me before they even reach out or call us. So there's some familiarity there. Yep. So they kind of already trust us. So we do get a lot from that, certainly. But I'd say the majority of people that I work with are people that I've worked with before. And it's really friends and acquaintances and people that know them, like past clients, realistically. Yeah. Because it's again, Winnipeg is just not a very big city. If you have a good reputation, you have a good reputation. Yeah. That's it. Like you can have a bad reputation very quickly in a small city like
one
this.
Really bad move.
That's right. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And it's just like having a lot of very robust relationships in a lot of different places and a lot of different facets of life and walks of life. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, as much as I'm doing a lot of digital marketing and traditional marketing, I meet a lot of people and I go very far out of my way to meet a lot of people. I like to meet a lot of people. The more people you know, the more people that you can help. I think it's a real community. Like it's a community of people. If I have clients that have businesses, I go to their business. If I have friends that have businesses, I go to their business, I pay a full price and I shut my mouth. That's what I'm here for, right? Right? So that's the deal. Yeah. So when they have something that needs done and they need my services, they come to me, I take care of them. Yeah. Right. And I do that with all of my clients' businesses and all of my friends' businesses and everyone else. So it's really just, you have a community of people that you take care of. when they need something, you can be of use, you help them, whether you're making money or not. I have a lot of people that call me for advice all the time.
Yeah.
What should I do with this? What am I doing here? We got a cottage. We don't know what to do with it. We're going to pass it to our kids, or we're not going to pass it to our kids, or should we sell it to them, or should we do something else? And et cetera, et cetera. I say, yeah, anything you guys need to call me anytime. Doesn't matter. So I think that makes a huge difference, because I get a lot of people that call me about a lot of stuff all the time. So it's just this community.
I think I've been one of them.
Yeah, I think there's probably a pretty good chance. Yeah, definitely. Even just some information, like some stuff, so that like you as someone that builds luxury homes, you can, hey, what's this house over here? What kind of prices is this stuff selling for? What's happening over here? What's happening over there? Yeah. Happy to help anytime. Doesn't matter. I'm not making any money, but I don't care.
Yeah.
But maybe at some point I will. Great. Maybe at some point I don't. Okay, great. Whatever. Right.
Well, one thing you touched on there was not only the word trust, but also in people getting to know you. And that was one thing early on that coming into the market. So as Emmett Leo Homes was coming from, a luxury spec builder into custom homes. Well, why would anyone build a house with a new builder? Right. So
yeah, totally.
So we had to build a large enough portfolio of projects that said, what you're doing. Here's all of our stuff. We know what we're doing. Because we've done it for ourselves. Now let us do it for you.
Yeah.
But in doing that people needed to get to know me and our company, and people do not build with people they don't trust. And and people don't trust you unless they know you. And so how do they get to know you? Right? They have to see you. You have to meet them. You have to go out of your way, like you said, to either network or get to know them and connect with them somehow. What have you found has been your biggest networking wins, as far as is it clubs? Is it memberships? Is it just going out and meeting people somehow? Like what have you found?
You know what it actually is, and it's kind of it's not really what people would expect, but I talk to people a lot, but like just everywhere. Like everywhere I go, if I start having a conversation with somebody at the grocery store, at the checkout, or getting a cup of coffee, or, having lunch at a restaurant, if I start talking to somebody, I'm actually talking to somebody, or I try very hard to, be someone that's engaged in speaking to somebody when anyone's around me, not just, hey, how's your day? Like everyone has the, surface hey, how's level. It going? Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And that's like a conversation you have with the teller when you're, checking out at your grocery store. Yeah. Well, that was super disingenuous. Like no one really, they didn't care about your day and you didn't care about their day. You're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
So like that was an epiphany that I had like a number of years ago, where I said, I'm just going to engage people in a conversation, even if it's 30 seconds, just go from there. So then that's what I started doing all the time.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, tell me about your day. Tell me about some interesting clients that came in. Like, did you have a nice weekend? What'd you do? Just like very, very, very simple questions like that. If people feel recognized, and they should, because you're having a conversation with them.
And you're paying attention.
Right? And then they say, oh yeah, this and that. And you say, oh, cool. Like you learn so much from other people if you just give it 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then what happens a lot of the time is they ask you questions back. And which is how conversation typically works, boys and girls.
Yeah.
But then they say, oh yeah, great, how's yours? I'm like, yeah, great, did this, had a showing, did this other thing, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, you're in real estate. Yeah, that's what I do. Blah. And they're like, oh yeah, in a lot of instances, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I know who you are. I've seen you around, because we have my face is all over the place now, like on the internet.
Yeah.
And then now you formed a relationship, right? And this has happened so many times where, actually, I remember this one young lady that had served me and my wife. We were having dinner somewhere. It was a few years ago. And anyway, she was lovely. She was super jovial. She was great at her job. And I was like, I like this girl. She's great. We had some great conversations. And then we just went on our way. I didn't think she knew who I was by any stretch, because like, why would I really? And then she gave me like a 5-star review on Google. She's like, I'm not a client, but I just served him. Mm-hmm. And he was great. It's like, hey, thanks. That was good. But it's like, you get this stuff. It always comes back. Someone's like, oh, I met you at this thing. We chatted very briefly. Or I used to work here. I used to come in for lunch. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I remember you. Mm-hmm. Right. Like people, you get remembered.
Yeah.
Like people find you interesting if you're interested in them.
Right.
And not to a level of disingenuity. Like people are interesting.
Yeah.
And like, man, in today's world, it's like the most disconnected, connected place that's just so insane, like having a genuine connection with someone for 5 minutes in a day could really change somebody's day.
Yeah.
Like really change somebody's day, because you never know what's happening in somebody else's life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even your own too. Like just having a quick chat with somebody over a cup of coffee when you're ordering your coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, that might change something for somebody.
Actually making connections.
Yeah.
Like
connections,
real connections.
like real
Connecting
connections.
with people,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I keep going back to, this thought I actually had yesterday. I was reading something, it was probably on LinkedIn or something else, about a self-made man, woman, person. And I was like, self-made? I'm like, what does that even mean? I'm like, I don't think anyone's ever had any success without some kind of community around them. Like, even if they think they don't, even if they think they've done it all themselves, I'm like, there's no way. Like someone's given you an opportunity somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you're ready to take opportunities if you're looking for them.
Yeah.
But everyone has help from somewhere, like all the time. People want to be around you, or you have something of value that somebody else has created and you're now selling. Or it's just the amount of connected we are, I think, is really getting lost on people. And I don't know, I don't like to see it. So if you can inject just a little bit more connectedness into this world,
mm-hmm.
a little bit at a time, man, it makes a big difference.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's great advice. How do you think about business development? So you've built a team.
Mm.
I'm going to ask next about just how different it is from start to finish, or start to where you are now. But how do you think about growing your business, your team? How do you think about what are some things that you do that would relate to business development and growth?
Well, it really is spending your time extremely efficiently, number one. Like, if you're going to grow in any way, you can't grow if you're in your business all the time, no matter what kind of business it is, right? Like, the whole goal of having a business is to have something that produces you an income without you having to be there. Right.
A successful one anyways.
A successful one anyways.
Yeah.
And that's what I say. Like, I wouldn't even go so far as to say that I have a business. Like, I'm self-employed, but I wouldn't categorize being a real estate professional as a business, because if I'm not there, and I'm not the face of the brand, and I'm not actually talking to people and doing the work, like, there is no business.
Right.
It's gone. So it's certainly more self-employed but from a business aspect of growing that business,
your role can change.
Yeah. It's just systems, really. It's just systematizing. And I think if someone really sits down and looks at their business, or the way that they operate their self-employed business, or whatever the case is, if you give yourself the time to do nothing, you're going to find just this massive opportunity to identify inefficiencies and do something about it, and that's what happens. And like, that's why people get super stressed in their businesses, or they're like a one-man show or a one-lady show. It's just like, you're just doing everything,
mm-hmm.
but things have to get done. So you get caught in that, like, it's the catch-22 of, I can't stop because the ball's rolling. And if I stop, then the ball drops, and now I got to start from scratch again.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes it's not that bad to let the ball drop or slow down.
One step backwards.
One step backwards
2 steps forward.
Exactly. Yeah. That makes a big difference. And like, just, look at it. I can almost guarantee like 90% of the stuff that anyone does their day-to-day life, that they could systematize, so they almost don't even have to look at it, and it does itself.
Yeah.
Or you could hire somebody to do it, and it would still make economical sense for you or your business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like, now what I try to do is spend my time only meeting people. So I am face-to-face with people as much as possible. I'm not, writing ads. I'm not working on, internet sales funnels, all of this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm doing is shaking hands and meeting people, showing homes, meeting people, listing appointments, meeting people. looking at stuff, meeting people. If I don't have anything going on, I'll go meet some people.
Is that because you've noticed that gets you the biggest return for your time and energy, or is that because you've identified that as what you do best?
Well, it's actually both, happily, which works well because there's certainly a synergy there. So yeah, that's what I do best.
Yeah.
But it's also the most effective thing to be doing.
Beautiful.
Right? Like in the real estate world, if you're in the office, you're not generating any business. Yeah. You're doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like if you're just sitting there doing paperwork, you're not doing anything. You're going backwards. Like all that stuff can be, especially in today's market.
Yeah.
Like especially in today's globalized like market of services.
I suppose if you're doing it, you know, the way that we're connecting has obviously shifted, and like you said, connections that are either a little superficial or you know, just with the way that we are all intermingled. But I suppose that there's probably ways to do that online and social, and if you're very good at it, that's a very good way to not only lead gen but cultivate a relationship until you're able to meet with people actually face to face. But now we're talking about, well, what are you good at? Right? Well, like if you're not good at that online cultivation, get out there and fucking meet people.
Yeah. What even that online cultivation is, how do you come across as genuine online? You know, that's a question that has a hard answer. Like what makes somebody say, because like what, 80% of our communication is body language, right? Or somewhere around that, someone said that and I just made up that thing. But like, so the words that you're actually saying online and that people are hearing is like, they're, you know, 15% of it, 20% of it, they're understanding. Yeah. When you actually meet somebody, you shake a hand, give somebody a hug that you haven't seen in a while, whatever the case is, or you're like in somebody's personal space, the energy that you're communicating to somebody is vastly different, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
so, and like everything, whatever it is, like you can, people have energy. You can tell if somebody's having a bad day before they say a word. That's almost all the time, right? Or somebody's having a great day. You probably got a pretty good sense of that. And we all do. Like humans, man, we have this innate ability to do so. Yeah. So like you can communicate a lot with somebody without saying a single word. So that's the like, how does that come across online? Like how can you communicate that online? That's difficult to do. It's really difficult to do.
Well, maybe it's quicker in person, right? Like because you do get to see all those things. You do get to read that and play all this. And it's also the reason why I love in-person podcasts versus doing it over
for sure. They're totally different.
Online, right? Yeah. Like having you here is totally different than
it'd be a really interesting experiment to be like, you're if you had, you know, 100 people, you're going to show some ad to that it's you speaking, doing something, selling something. But then you had 100 people that you were going to like meet like in 5-minute increments and just shake their hand and say,
sure
hey, great to meet you. How do you do?
I'm
like,
sure
there's got to be like, there's going to be a huge
There's even been the studies where they gave people hot beverages to hold versus cold beverage. Like totally. Tony Robbins talks about that a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think you're right about the nuances of interpersonal relationships and meeting in person.
Well, and real estate's a relationship business. So
isn't everything though? Most of the time?
Everything is a relationship business. But how do you scale it? How do you scale a relationship business and still be genuine?
Right.
Like that's if I could figure out how to do that, I would be like having the time of my life.
Well, you're definitely scaling it by not doing stuff that you're not good at and delegating and doing the important stuff, right? Mm-hmm. You're right that the scaling then now plateaus based off of your time, but now you have to then be able to scale your content and your marketing and your messaging across that is genuine. And that's back to your question, how do you be genuine online? And that's really just your message has to be genuine online. If your messaging isn't you, well, then clearly you can't come across as genuine.
I think you just do just do what you think is you.
Yeah.
If people don't like you, well then fuck it.
Yeah.
If they do, well then that's great too. I think that's as genuine as a person can be. If you don't like me, that's great.
That is 100%.
I still like you. That's okay.
Yeah.
I don't. That's okay. You don't have to like everybody. If you don't like me because you think I talk too much or whatever, great.
Is there anything that you failed miserably at? Or just stuff that you planned
like you have to fail
that
miserably at something or you don't learn anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, specifically, see, this is the thing. When I think back, like in the moment, I will have thought that maybe I had failed at something.
Mm-hmm.
But very shortly after, you quickly realize that nothing really mattered all that much anyway, and all the important things are still there in your life.
Mm.
So, yeah, it didn't fail. You just learned something and you said, okay, well, fuck it. That one cost me some money. Moving on. Or it cost me a relationship that maybe I did want to have, or I didn't really want to have, or maybe it wasn't a good or poisonous relationship anyways.
Yep.
But at the time you're like, oh, I did something catastrophic and that messed that up. And then you look back on it as you get older and you're like, that wasn't a mistake. That was that was probably the best that could have went, actually.
Well, that's back to awareness and perspective and how you decide that you're going to learn from something or not, right?
Yeah, but I mean, looking back on I can't honestly say that I've failed at anything. Like I've tried things and they didn't work, but I wouldn't say that's failed. I think the only way you can fail is if you stop doing them. Like that
is probably the most important one. Right?
If you give up,
I mean, in general, yes,
yeah,
100%.
In general. If you give up, you failed. If it didn't work out, well, you didn't fail. You just tried something, it didn't work. You learned something, and then you fucking tried a different way. Yeah, or you decide, okay, you know what? That's not my cup of tea. I'm maybe not that good at that. Find a workaround. I'll learn something else, or I'll hire someone to do that next time. Yeah.
Now, if 19-year-old Bobby was standing here and you could tell him something that you think would be the most beneficial thing, what would it be?
You know what? The most beneficial thing that somebody said to me, and I probably was like around that age, was a friend of mine from the West Coast. And he said, oh, it doesn't matter if I don't believe in you, as long as you believe in you. He's like, just for the record, I believe in you. But he's like, it doesn't matter what I think. It only matters what you think. And then he left. And I was like, that's interesting. Yeah. And then I thought about that quite a bit. And that's the same thing I would say, really. And now being very confident in failing in things. Yeah.
Things not going as planned.
Things not going as planned. Yeah. Well, that comes from, you know what? It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. I believe in me.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I always forget this movie. There was a guy that went overseas and something happened and he was coming back and Tom Hanks is on the plane with him and he's talking to him and he says, well, do you know the truth? And the guy says, yeah. And he goes, then it doesn't fucking matter what anyone else thinks.
Oh, right? Yeah, I think I know the portion you're talking about.
As long as you know the truth, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And that's a big part is that one of the messages that first caught me probably in my early 30s, was just stop lying to yourself. Because that's the root of all problems is if you're going to lie to yourself, then you're living in an imaginary world.
Well, I think it's not even lying, man. I think it's the human condition. I think it's you trick yourself to dissuade yourself from having a particular kind of feeling that you don't want. Right? Like an emotion that you don't want. The situation isn't good, but I'm doing it because of this and blah, blah, blah. And that's what I'm doing it. So you're like, your brain is tricking you from feeling bad by coming up with an excuse of some sort.
I call that lying.
Maybe it's lying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's lying. But yeah, what would I say to my 19-year-old self? I would say, fuck it, dude, keep doing what you're doing. Don't change a thing. Honestly. Because all the stuff that you're doing now that have maybe been catastrophic at the time, you'll look back on and it won't be nearly catastrophic. And in fact, it will have lined you into the path that your life is now, which is very fantastic.
Right.
So
just keep going.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like one day at a time. It doesn't matter. Lots of stuff doesn't work. Fuck it. And that confidence that, I'm being very honest, I'm a confident guy. I recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
Where it came from, I don't really know. I just decided that was going to be that one day, I think.
Do you ever remember not being confident?
Yeah, for sure. Like I was like a fairly shy kid when I was young, like young, but I was also a bit of a clown, which obviously makes sense if you're shy and then you show off and then you're looking for attention, but you're kind of not getting the right attention. So you're kind of a gritty kid.
I was a clown too, but I wasn't shy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also too, like, and I was a sensitive kid, but not sensitive to the fact that anyone would notice, but then I would act in different ways as kids would do, when you're young. Something hurts, so you fight back, It doesn't, like, you're not crying about it in front of anybody. You go home and cry about it yourself, but you'll go punch that kid in the neck or whatever, So, but yeah, again, like, you just grow out of it. Like I said before, I think like people that are, have a very calm and relaxed demeanor are typically people that are sensitive and have lashed out because of it when they're younger, maybe, and become like more aggressive, like more violent, more hurt. But then, the older you get, you realize, no, I can make a choice about this. That doesn't make sense. I can control these choices now. Those choices don't control me, right?
Well, I always looked at it. I always saw, the people that lashing out most of the time is just insecurities, right?
Yeah.
Is they're insecure about something in their life or, whatever. They're not happy. They're not moving forward. They're stuck. They're hopeless, all of that stuff. And so to see somebody that is, calm in the middle of the storm, really is just like, oh shit, you got your shit together. This really isn't affecting you, is it?
Yeah.
I've had people be like, why aren't you stressing out about this?
Yeah. Well, I have that with clients too. Yeah. When like something, and like real estate is very dynamic, right? Things can happen that you have no clue that are going to happen. Like somebody's house after they sell it gets caught on fire by accident. And then there's just like a whole legal battle of badness.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, that's no problem. We'll figure it out. Let's talk to the lawyers. Let's see what we can do. And their hair's on fire. They're freaking out. They're like, why are you calm? And I'm like, that's my job to be calm. If I'm not calm, no one's calm here.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
So if I'm running, you start running even faster.
Well, yeah, totally. If I start running, everyone else freaks out, right? Yeah. But that's part of the gig. Like if you're around calm people, you'll be calm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, too, like real estate's something that people don't do a lot of. They need to be helped to be calm.
Yeah.
More than anything, really.
So for realtors coming in, what was the hardest part of starting to be a realtor versus what are the hardest parts now?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was really just people taking you seriously when you first start, because somebody like myself that's been in real estate for some time, or anyone that's been in real estate for a long time, as soon as you start talking to them, like if it's another agent talking to me that's obviously newer, I'll know almost immediately just by the way the things they're asking or the things they're saying, which is totally fine, obviously, because you got to start somewhere.
You got to suck at something before you're good at it.
Yeah, you got to suck at something before you're good at it. But it's really just that. Like a lot of the time, you don't know. When you don't know that you don't know, things are easy because you don't know what the hell you're doing anyways. And you're not even cognizant of you're not doing anything that you should be doing or not be doing. You just don't know. But as soon as you know that you don't know, that's when it gets difficult, because then you're kind of nervous of being like, I'm not sure if I'm doing this correct. And this could get somebody in a heap of legal trouble, or there could be some kind of problem with this or whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
So it's like in the beginning, you should second guess a lot of the stuff that you do to make sure that what you're doing is the correct thing. Like take your time and think about it, right? So like in the beginning, that's what happens. And of course, as you start understanding that you've done a lot of deals, I think you've seen this a million times before, that completely changes. But yeah, I've certainly had newer agents do, in this one instance, I actually had a gentleman do something that you cannot do. The Securities Commission would frown upon it extremely heavily. And so I just called, he was new. Obviously, I called him. I said, hey, just FYI, I'm not angry about this. but you can't do that. Here's why. And if somebody reports you, you're going to be in big trouble. And he was like, oh, okay. Thank you. I said, no problem. Just don't do that again, especially to me. Because if you do it twice, like it's going to be a big problem.
Yeah.
And anyway, he's still operating. He's still practicing today. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But I was like, dude, you would have had your license taken away in 2 seconds if that would have been signed and done.
Yeah.
But I called him beforehand and said, before you get that signed, you need to know this. And he was like, oof, okay, good to know. I was like, yeah, no problem. But I mean, it's that's what it is. In the beginning, it's like you need to understand that people are trusting you with a lot of their money, essentially.
Yeah.
Like they're trusting you with a lot of funds, right? So educate yourself for sure. Like, and the number one thing is like, you should understand what houses are, like what they're made of, like what the difference is in electrical and HVAC and what stuff is built out of and how foundations work and what it is. The fact that they don't have something.
Would you agree
like
that most don't?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 99%. I'd say there's a huge portion that really couldn't tell you the difference between almost anything. Right. And that is a big problem actually, because, sometimes people buy houses without inspections. They'll do all kinds of stuff happens, regular course of business. But I mean, they'll trust someone that says, oh yeah, I like this house. They're like, yeah, this is a great house. I don't see any problems with it. You should buy it. And they're like, should we have an inspection? They're like, yeah, no, why? It's all good. Like everything looks great. Mm-hmm. Then they buy it and there's a big problem. They're like, oh, our agent told us that we didn't need an inspection. Okay, well, you didn't know what you were talking about. You shouldn't have said that. Yep. And you need to understand what the ramifications of that are. Yep. So that is a big problem, actually. The fact that there's not the way that real estate licensing works here is actually kind of wild, because it's very easy to get a license to trade real estate and get signed on with a brokerage.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Like you can do it really quickly. And it's not particularly onerous. It's not hard.
Yeah.
And then there you are, you're transacting people's houses and they think that you have been doing this for a long time, whether or not you have or not. The way that it works in Europe is quite a bit different. In the UK, like you have to work under somebody, I think, for 3 years before you can actually start working to get your license to do it. Yeah. That makes a huge amount of sense. For sure, because like the Manitoba Securities Commissions and the provincial governing bodies put a lot of things in play to protect consumers from essentially people that aren't experienced, right? So they try to dumb-proof everything. Mm-hmm. So even if you're working with an agent that doesn't have experience, hopefully everything is dumb-proofed enough where you can't get in too much trouble.
Right.
When if you just had somebody that was experienced, you don't have to dumb-proof it because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it is, that experience level is massive. And now getting back to your question as like, what do I find challenging now? The only things I really find challenging now are, it's not particularly challenging. Like there's portions of it. There's sometimes challenging people to work with. Challenging attitudes, but I mean, there's nothing particularly all that difficult about it, other than I would say people getting realistic expectations of values a lot of the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Would be the only one. Again, with changing markets, Winnipeg has been a market that's gone up slightly and then a bunch and slightly and a bunch and slightly and a bunch for varying periods of time for a long time. So like anyone even close to our age, you would never think that you could buy a house and then sell it for less at any point in time, right? Like it would never happen. Real estate only goes up in Winnipeg, which is completely true for the last like 25 years or so.
Yep.
But and now the interest rates are changing. Some people have purchased houses that were expensive and they paid a lot of money for them a few years ago. And, now they want to change or they want to move that house. And I'll say, okay, here's what this kind of stuff is selling for.
I got to sell it for more than that.
And I'm like, I can appreciate that, but that's not what the data is telling me. I simply can't tell you what you want to hear because I just don't have the proof. The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
The proof is in the numbers and the data. My opinion about a home is irrelevant.
That's right.
And your opinion about your home is irrelevant. Unfortunately, what is relevant is just the data, the facts, and the numbers. So what somebody's willing to pay for it is what it's going to sell for. So we want to poise it on the market to be able to get as fair price as we possibly can in the shortest amount of time that's comfortable.
Yeah.
So I think that would be some of the most challenging stuff. And also when I go back to challenging people, it's really just relationship dynamics more so. Being in real estate, there's a lot of changing in family dynamics, divorces and deaths and things of the sort, which are of a very emotional nature, which transmutes to the actual asset, the home or the what have you, right? So that would really be the only more difficult stuff. Divorces.
The three Ds of real estate.
Yeah,
Death,
the
disease,
three Ds.
divorce.
Yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff. Yeah, and it's the divorce stuff that can tend to get very messy at times. Typically not, because again, I find myself playing a mediator very much in the beginning. So if there's someone that says, "Hey, we need to sell our house because we're separating. This is what we're doing, et cetera, et cetera."
Yeah.
No problem. I'm going to sit down with everybody here first. Before we do anything more, let's talk like grown-ups and let's discuss what the plan is. Let's discuss what we're looking at. Let's discuss all these details before we go any further, because I need to make sure you are on the same page with me, because we can't have the communication in a silo between each other, because then things get really lost in translation.
Yeah.
So this is how it's going to work. We'll do it that way. And if things aren't cordial and there's stuff that can't be agreed upon, I just say, guys, I understand this is an emotionally charged situation for both of you. This is what I would suggest that we do. If you can trust me to do that, leave it to me. We will do that. If you can't agree, then you don't need me, because I'm not going to play the mediator for this entire process, trying to he said, she said, or whatever the case is.
So here's my commission for selling the house, and here's what I charge for my therapy sessions and my mediation work.
But that's the thing I always say in the beginning. I say, guys, you can tell me anything you want. I don't care. It doesn't leave my mind trap. It's totally irrelevant to anyone except you and me, because I get that this is a very challenged situation. So whatever you want to say, whatever you want to do, whatever you think it is, it's all good. I'm here for it all. But you know that nothing's going to leave here. And so whatever your situation is, or wherever this is happening, or whatever happens, that stays right here.
Yeah.
That's it. And that usually that one thing really calms people down a lot.
Yeah. Well, that can be worrisome for sure.
Yeah.
I like that you described the, it's pretty much the growth cycle of coming into something and being unconsciously incompetent about stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then being consciously incompetent, and then being unconscious or consciously competent, and then unconsciously competent.
Yeah.
And the way that you just grow through things, but that, you don't know what you don't know. That can really,
it's the most dangerous person.
100%.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
The person that comes in that knows everything and thinks that they know everything about everything.
And this goes back to sensei that was teaching me too. And he said, I'd way rather get knocked out by a black belt than somebody with a white belt. And I was like, what? Why? That doesn't make any sense. And he's like, a person with the black belt probably had a good idea of where to hit you or where to kick you at that time. The white belt is just flailing. So if they catch you, it might be in a spot that's real bad. Like it might be something like might kick you right in the throat.
Yeah, it's probably
an accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd rather get like kicked in the side of the head and get knocked out in a fight than in the ring or training than get accidentally kicked right in the Adam's apple with a heel. This one's much more dangerous than the other. And the one that's much more dangerous is the person that started. That's why actually, so when we trained in martial arts too, it was, I think one of the first things he said, he's like, everything that I'm going to teach you, he's like, if I hear in the paper that you like went and got in a bar fight and you use this on somebody, he's like, I'm going to fucking kick your ass, because he's like, you don't know what you're doing yet. So what I'm showing you can be very dangerous unless you know how to control it. So he's like, if you use this in just a drunken bar fight to do something stupid, he's like, you don't know what you're doing yet. And you can really hurt somebody by accident.
Yeah.
So he's like, make sure that doesn't happen. It's like the same as, if you're totally not competent, but you've just learned something cool.
Yeah.
And then you just go out there and start employing it all over the place. You don't know what you're doing.
It's like the what Jordan Peterson says about become a monster first and then learn how to control it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the way it has to work though too, right?
Yeah.
You can't like learn how to control
something that you aren't.
Yeah.
Or is something that you don't know how to do.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. So there's like that dangerous learning curve. I'm just thinking about my son now and I'm like, what am I going to teach him? How am I going to do this? Like, I want to change the order of operation.
I want my son to go into jiu-jitsu. I really do.
I think every person should train some kind of practical, usable martial art.
Yeah.
To some degree. For sure.
Well, the body awareness, your confidence, your ability to be aware of what's going on at the time.
Yeah.
I like and don't like. And I'm saying this from someone who wants to do jujitsu, but I haven't been doing it just because I've always been scared about my back for the last little bit.
Yeah.
Like I got a horrible back, but now it's actually feeling amazing now. And I really want to start in jujitsu. Uh-huh. What the biggest thing that I am worried about, but also kind of excited about, is what goes through your head when you're getting choked out. Like, do you panic? You know, what are you think? Like, how do you stay calm? And that's like all of those things that are we're seeing more and more about, like ice baths, right? Like calming yourself down. Like, what are you doing when your mind's starting to scream at you?
Yeah.
How do you control it?
Yeah, I mean, well, that was a lot of stuff you'd learn in martial arts too. Like the type of karate that we trained, it was like full contact, like bear shin martial arts, right? So like often the person that would win a fight or a match or traveling, doing fights or whatever, anything, it's like, it's very rarely the person that can hit the hardest. And it's almost always the person that can get hit the hardest because it doesn't matter how big you are or how strong you are. If you don't know what it feels like to get hit and what your body does, like as a reaction to it, you're going to be very surprised at what you can involuntarily, like what your body will involuntarily do if you're not used to getting hit. If somebody punches you right in the solar plexus and you're not,
or what your mind
don't know
will
what that, well, your mind will go into like freak out mode because your body's like, something is happening and I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, it's very rarely the person that can hit the hardest. It's the person that can get hit the hardest. So if you've been hit 150,000 times before, someone kicks you in the ribs, okay. You feel it. You know exactly what that feels like. You know exactly how your body's going to react. You're okay. You're like inside, you're like, fuck, ow.
Yeah.
But it's not showing on the outside. And your body isn't like, my liver's shutting down. I'm freaking out. And then you panic and then your brain goes crazy. And then bam, guess what? You just got kicked in the face. Yeah. You got punched in the mouth, whatever.
Have you ever been winded like really,
really
well?
Very good. I actually remember a super good one. A guy gave me like a spinning back kick right to my solar plexus. And he caught me perfect. And I was like really close to a wall too. So it hit me and my back hit the wall. And I had nothing in the tank. I kept fighting very slowly, just trying to like stave him off while I was like waiting for my breath to come back. But it was like, extremely, extremely winded. But I did a lot when I was young too, like falling off stuff, doing things like that.
I remember the first time I was winded and you think you're going to die.
Yeah, it's a very surprising
feeling. I let a tree. And just like right on my back. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to die. Like, this is it. I must have been 8. I don't know, something like that.
Well, I remember too, like it's even things like that, but like in the martial art that we do, like you'd kick there's a lot of low kicks. You'd kick to legs, kick to ribs, kick to that kind of stuff, right? You would be very surprised how excruciating it is to get kicked in the right part of your thigh if you're not used to it. Like, I don't care who you are, how big you are, how strong you think you are. You catch a shin in the right part of your leg at a full tilt kick, you're going to think your leg snapped in half and you're going to have a reaction. Like, it's going to be it's going to be very, very surprising.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the same thing. If you've been kicked in that leg 1,000 times, you'll feel it, but it's not, nothing's going to happen.
I trained in Muay Thai for a while.
Oh yeah. So, right.
When I was fighting guys that were clearly more skilled than I was, and they would attack my legs over and over and over. And it just like, I had one where he kicked my legs so many times that I had to stop.
Yeah.
And
You'll
just
totally
like, I couldn't do anything. Like it was incredible.
But imagine you had never been kicked in the leg.
Oh,
and you catch one of those full tilt.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't check it properly.
Totally. Yeah. You just got a loose leg.
Yeah.
Sitting there. Oh my God. Like
there's a lot of metaphors in there for life. That's what I love. Martial arts is incredible because
just for the metaphors
and life, right?
True.
You just keep getting kicked out there and in the market.
Yeah.
So how do you respond? And that goes back to the stories and
that's the thing where it goes back. You get to choose how to respond. Like your body is saying, freak out. That fucking hurt.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
You broke your leg or you can't get air. Time to panic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if you do that enough times, again, you get to say, okay, now I've been here before. I know how to choose this. I'm just going to calm the fuck down. I'll wait and my breath will come back or my leg's not broken. That just hurt a lot. It's all good. Yeah. Moving forward. It all happens in a split second, right?
Yeah.
But I think the more it happens, the quicker you can choose to make that decision.
Sure. Yeah.
So like your mind gets quicker at it. So same with real estate, same in business. There's a deal goes sideways or someone can't get the financing or something happens. Okay.
I've seen it 10 times. I've seen it 20 times.
I've seen it a million times, right?
Here's what worked. Here's what didn't.
Okay, cool. That's what happens. That happens. No big deal. Moving on. Here's what we do. Here's the solution.
Yeah.
Moving forward. But again, when you're saying like when you're younger and you just start in it and you get a deal done and then you're working on it for 3 weeks and then it all falls apart. You're like, some people get so wound up about it for, the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, okay, well, there we are. Solution, yes. No solution, no. Workaround, maybe. Moving on. Like, yeah.
What do you think that people should know about realtors? Or is there things that, other misconceptions or stuff that you've heard about realtors that is either not true or half truth?
Well, so here's the thing. It's a very broad spectrum of people. Right? You're going to get the same spectrum of people you're going to get in the general populace of an area or what have you. So probably all of it's true in one form or another.
Everything you hear about realtors, true.
And it's going to be, something is going to be true for one that is not going to be true for another.
Yeah.
And that's going to be with anything else, right?
Yep.
Like
any profession,
right? There's a reason why like it's skewed like 10% to 90%. I mean, like 10% of the agents do 90% of the business,
mm-hmm.
and 90% of the agents do 10% of the business.
Yeah,
there's a reason that happens.
That's the super Pareto rule, we say.
Yeah,
Pareto rule is 80-20. The super Pareto is 90-10.
It's actually even more skewed than that.
Really,
realistically, yeah. But I mean, there's a reason for it, man. It's like you get a reputation. People want to work with you. People don't want to.
Snowballs.
Yeah, it snowballs, right? And like over the years, I've certainly had agents that have done some very questionable things, and that it's happening because
mm-hmm.
I've been here before. Like I understand this. I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. They're out to make a buck sometimes, but again, at the end of the day, don't let it bother you. They don't last long.
Yeah.
They never do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see it like people will lose their licenses or they get in trouble with Securities Commission in different ways, or they're getting sued by people or, what have you.
Yeah.
It's everything comes around. Yeah.
So you are in the, what I've been taught is the trifecta of insanity. You're a married man with kids
yeah.
or with a child, and you have you're self-employed, which
it's funny that it's who coined the insanity portion.
Well, I heard it from one of my coaches, and it just always stuck because one of those can be difficult at times. Right.
Sure.
And if you get all three of them being difficult at the same time, now you're really in.
Yeah, I could see that would be a nightmare. I think I've been very lucky that all three of those have been very great thus far. So I don't think it's insanity as much. It's like sanity.
So take me through how, so your son is 3.
Almost, yeah.
And you've been married now
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, give or take.
So tell me about how this has been over the last, say, 4 years versus before.
Well, I think it all comes back to men wanting a purpose for the most part. Like when you're in a single guy and you don't really have anything of purpose or to do of purpose, then nothing is really of all that importance. You know, you have a business, you want to make money, that's important to you. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. But nothing else is really all that important. You're just kind of playing around, like you're not doing anything. When you get married, at least from my perspective, you have somebody to take care of. Like it's now your job to take care of that person, whether that's exactly what they want or not. Mm-hmm. I feel that way. So, translate it however you want. That's my job as the man. That's the deal. Yeah. My wife agrees. So that works. But she doesn't need me to take care of her in any way, shape, or form. But she likes me there. Yeah. And I like her there. So fantastic. That works. But then when you have a child, well, that changes again too, where now you have a much different purpose. And your purpose is to serve these two people before you're serving yourself, right? And you balance that with your business as much as you can. So that's really the difference. I mean, like men just want to have purpose. They want to have some inspiration, you know? When you have a purpose and you can work towards something that's of value, then life is way more fulfilling.
So how has all of that, how have you seen that manifest in your stuff where now you have a purpose and now you're balancing all 3 of those?
You know, it's the one thing it's done by far is made me much more time sensitive.
Sure. Yeah.
Like far and away. And that's...
Well, now you have to prioritize.
Well, it's the prioritize. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a prioritized time. So like I say no to virtually everything now. A few years back, I just decided I'm going to say no to everything. Anyone that asks me anything, it's a no. But let me think about it.
As far as like doing stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything.
Yeah.
You want to come over on Friday? You want to do a podcast? You want to, whatever, sponsor this charity event or like speak at the Sing or do this, whatever.
Yeah.
No. But let me think about it. And then I just leave it there for 6 or 7 days. And then I'll think about it later, because I used to say yes to everything. So that was a major difference. Where I'd say yes, throw it in the calendar, talk to my assistant, hey, we got to do this thing this day, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, my week is stacked full and I'm like, got a lot of stuff going on. It's different. So now I'm very, very, very choosy about, number one, where I spend my time, and whom I spend my time with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody once sent something to me, and I don't know if it's probably on Instagram because this is how this goes these days. But it was, if you wouldn't be happy with your son or daughter turning into one of the people you spend most of your time with, then you're wrong. You're not with the right people. Right. Yeah. So that made a lot of sense to me right away too. And I'm like, you're right. Maybe I should be spending my time in much more advantageous environments, for sure. Which happily, by accident, I really do have a very great group of friends that are extremely positive, hardworking, like-minded, et cetera, et cetera. But that's the biggest one by far. It's just, I say no to everything. I still want to say yes to everything. I really do, because I like doing new things. I like learning new things. I like trying anything. But it's always no, but I'll think about it, which is like 80% of the time it turns into a yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's always a no. My first reaction is always no from now on. So that's been a big one, because then I can really prioritize things a little bit differently. And I can think, okay, what do I actually want to do? Do I want to really do that, or do I want to have something else happen?
I feel like that's akin to not answering the phone and then calling back when you're ready. You're just like, no, I'll do it on my time.
Well, so that's it. So one of the other things I did a few years ago is probably one of the best things I've ever done is I don't have voicemail on my phone. So if you call me, no, I do have voicemail on my phone, but you can't leave a message.
Okay.
So the voicemail simply says, you got Bobby here. I've seen you called. I have call display. I'll call you back as soon as I can. If it's anything else, you can send a text. It's all good. Because another friend of mine actually owns a number of businesses. He said, nobody important wants to leave you a message. He said, nobody called you to leave you a message. Like they called you to talk to you. So they don't want to leave a message. They'll call you back, or you call them back, or they'll text you. Like why? So I'm like, I just saved half my life checking my voicemail. It's just a waste of time, a total waste of time, right?
Well, people's with the increase of people's proficiency with texting. Mm-hmm. Like when T9 word or all those, the initial and you're all that.
Yeah.
Like, this is so inefficient. Like, fuck this. I'm just going to call them, whatever. But now texting, like old people are just crushing texting too. So
now, but it goes back to that same kind of level of communication with people too, because like a lot of stuff can get lost in translation and in text. Yeah. Actually, there was, we have like a mandatory continuing education thing that happens at the real estate boards in Manitoba, and one of the lawyers that was speaking at it said there was a farmer, I think it was a farmer, who had received a text from somebody that was offering on some land they were selling. And the farmer had responded with a thumbs up emoji. And he said, oh, yeah, I want to buy it for this much, blah, 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 whatever. He's an old farmer.
Cool.
And he's like, cool, thumbs up.
Yeah. That's great.
Whatever. Yeah. Obviously not. So that went to court. And the guy was like, you accepted that. You gave me a thumbs up. He said, no, I'm an old farmer. What the fuck are you talking about? And the court said, yeah, that counts. That's contractually, you're now contractually obliged for that because it was a counter offer of sorts. Something along the line. And I was like, boy, that got translated to that. That's extremely dangerous. Yeah. I'm like, I think that was a horrible decision.
No signatures, no contracts.
Okay, thumbs up. And I'm like, and now the guy has to sell his land to this guy, or he's in a situation where he's breaching contract. I'm like, that's insane. So that's why I get back to like don't leave me a voicemail. I'll call you back. Like, I'll call you.
Yeah.
And like, I'm the guy that, some people will call and then they don't answer and then they text you back, hey, what's up? And you're like, well, I called because I want to talk to you. Yeah. If you text me, often I'll call you because I'm like, I can convey an enormous amount of information in 20 seconds speaking. Then I'm
texting for 7 minutes.
7 minutes. And even then, you're not going to understand my intonation.
That's right.
Like the way that I'm speaking, like any of this.
Yeah.
So I just pick up the phone. Yeah. Hey, yes, we can do that. No problem at all. Great. I'll meet you there. I'll put it in my calendar. I'll send you this. There we go. Done. Cool.
Now we're on the same page.
Yeah. Cool. He's calm and cool and he's going to do what I need to get done. Yeah. Get a text message that looks the same. I think he's angry at me because I'm asking him to do this and he doesn't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
Right? It just gets lost in translation. This is like the communication is the only problem with communication is the illusion that it happened. And so that happens a lot, and especially in real estate.
Yeah.
It's like having a communication level at a very high level is paramount all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you want to be successful at anything, learn how to communicate really well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Big time.
I've noticed that too.
Yeah.
What or who are the biggest influences in your life? The mentors, books, people?
Mentors, books, people. You know what? I don't really. It is people around me friends, like people that I like, people that I love around me. Like one very good friend of mine owns a private fitness facility. I've known him since I was 15 years old. He's one of my closest friends. Mm-hmm. And he's just a dude that literally he's been getting up at 4:25 in the morning since he was 20. That's it. Like that's his first clients were at like 5 a.m. because it was like business owners, right? Early morning risers. Yeah. He would train them in the morning and then he would work until whatever, 3 o'clock and then go home and keep putting the hammer down. And kids, great family, beautiful wife, just like a 100% stand-up dude that I've known forever. So him I admire greatly, but he's a very close friend, so I don't want to tell him that too much.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it goes to his head. No, but he's fully aware. So that's the kind of guy, like it's, I don't think I have a lot of admiration for people that I don't personally know.
Sure.
Because I'm like,
because you don't know them.
Because I don't know them.
Yeah.
Like there's lots of people that have done a lot of cool stuff for sure, where I'm like, that's very cool. Like I admire what you've done. But as a person, I have no idea who you are.
Right.
Right. So that's a big one. And I think my father-in-law, actually big time too, he's an old school farmer. Right. And he's a stoic by nature. He's not bothered, he works hard. He says what he means. But he's a fantastic guy, he does what he says he's going to do. He's one of those old school guys that's very easy to respect. And like, you'll meet them around all over the place because they are all around. Yep. But it's like an old fashioned proper gentleman, does what he says he's going to do, works hard, takes care of his family, does extremely well, and doesn't flaunt any of it, doesn't go buy Ferraris and drive them around and do whatever. Just normal dude. Does the same stuff. That I admire a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think nobody hates anybody. People dislike people because they see something that they dislike about themselves in somebody else.
Nailed it.
Right? And so when you see people that you admire, you're simply looking to the future of yourself and saying like, I'm on that path and I like it. I like where it's going. I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of the same thing, So you already admire like-minded people for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like the human condition, the battle of the ego. You see someone that's got it together, that knows what they're doing. You're just like, all right, I like this. This person, knows what's up.
Well,
yeah.
Even those that have it together at times don't have it together, right? It's just
totally
human nature and the constant battle for growth and improvement, and at least that's what you hope most people are doing, but I don't think most are, to tell you the truth.
No, man, I don't know. Like as you get older, obviously your priorities totally change.
Or should.
Or probably should. Depending on, I guess, how you were grown up or raised, I don't know. Like maybe you had fantastic priorities from the very beginning. Like honestly, I think my wife has had because she's come from this like fantastically loving family. She's had her shit together for like
mine too.
seemingly like forever,
yeah.
Like since she was a kid, because all the stories and everything else, I'm like, you're the same person you were when you were 6, 7 years old and you have the same friends. I'm like, you haven't.
Honey, here's a lesson I just learned from all of this. And she's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, great. Yeah, oh, right. I'm just maturing still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's different, man. It's like you're raised differently. You got different moral codes and values, or your insecurities drive you to do different things to prove to certain people that you are the person that you say you are, or the person that you want to be, right? The human condition. Yeah. Yeah. But those are the people that I admire. Like, I don't care about any of the flashy stuff. I mean, I like it. Do I want to buy a 356 Speedster? Yeah, absolutely. I love that. It's a fantastic car.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't hold up very well on our roads though.
No, I had to move.
One pothole, it's over.
Yeah, it would explode on the Winnipeg roads.
Yeah.
But it's like the internet really drives a lot of people to admire people they shouldn't.
I can agree,
especially young people. Young people want to be like this person or that person or this person. And I'm like, those are not.
Patrick Mahomes eats a lot of McDonald's. Did you know that?
Who is this?
The quarterback, MVP, NFL.
Yeah. Oh, really?
He eats a lot of McDonald's. Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Now kids should eat McDonald's. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Of all the things.
They have salads now, I think. I don't know.
I think they got rid of them.
Oh, really?
I think. I don't know.
I mean, I haven't
been there in a long time.
Customer base, I guess.
But
yeah, but that's the thing. I'm like, your true values, things that matter. Like the older you get, you realize that there's very few things that are actually worth anything.
Yeah.
And it fits in the palm of your hand. It's very few. Everything else is just extra.
Well, you know, in having kids, you start thinking in different terms as far as not only like what are they learning, what are they saying, but also what are the ramifications of all of that down the road. Who are you becoming? Like, it's not your attitude right now that bothers me.
Yeah.
It's knowing that could be an attitude that grows and grows and grows if it doesn't shift.
Yeah.
Like perspective and how you start thinking about things and how you're contextualizing everything together. It all changes.
Very much.
But it's an interesting journey. So we have real estate and philosophy with Bobby Wall. You knew you were coming here.
Yeah.
You knew we were going to talk. We did even talk about and mention you don't know what you don't know. So is there anything that I did not mention that I should have or that is important to you?
No, not really.
Then
I come with no expectations.
Yeah.
Dan. Like it's whatever it is. It's nice to have a chat and just kind of get an idea of what you're doing, what's going on, what this thing is about that you're doing. It's nice to have an opportunity to speak to some people, and hopefully there'll be some people that can then, going back to that genuine comment, like how do you come across as a genuine human being any kind of marketing? Be genuine, right? Yeah. So now there's been a little session where someone can see something or watch something and be like, okay, yeah, he's like he's a normal dude. Yeah. From our values may align. We're kind of similar folks. That's someone that I would probably want to work with or do some work with. Or if I just need some help with something, I know they can give him a call and he's probably happy to help. Yeah. No strings attached.
So let's end with this. Tell me what you love about Winnipeg.
Man, it comes down to the people. It always comes down to the people. Because anyone that's ever traveled anywhere knows that there are some incredible places to live that are way cooler, have way more to offer, and are on paper better all the time. But what it really comes down to is again the community. It's this community of friends and people that you love that make home, and it's not something that you can get just anywhere. And I think a lot of people discount that when it's probably one of the biggest key traits of living long and joy is just having this community of people around you. Winnipeg has a lot of communities and a lot of niche communities of friends, families, and relationships. It's a size where you can have a lot of great relationships that are intertwined with many other relationships. Yeah. And bigger cities, you don't get that. I have friends that live in Toronto and they have 4 friends because that's the only people they know. Like in here, I would say I have people that I would consider friends in the hundreds, realistically. And you see them around, you see the same people, and that's Winnipeg. And people have said it time and time again. People that have visited here, people that have come here to do concerts and famous people, they're just like, yeah, the city's the city. There's improvements that need to be done like any other city. And there's lots of stuff that needs working on, but it's got a lot of great stuff. And the great stuff that it has is all the people that they always meet here. And that makes the big difference.
There's a reason why a lot leave, but come back. Yeah. And a lot of the community and people, you don't realize it until you don't have it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to realize what you have until you don't have it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And so there is a lot of people that move back here. And of course, I work with a lot of them. Yeah. And I find that most of them, it happens as soon as they have a child too. Yeah. They realize I have a very little support network where I am. I got a bunch of friends, but you know what? They're always going out, doing this, doing that. I have a child. My family's not here. Yeah. My good friends aren't around here. I have a couple, but it's totally different. Yeah. It does change things. But it always comes back to the same thing, man. Relationships, people, Winnipeg. That's what it's about. That's why there's a lot of businesses here that don't have to be here, that are still here. Yeah. Large businesses.
Corporate headquarters.
Yeah. Business people that don't need to live here by any stretch. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. But they have some very rich relationships, and that's what keeps us here. That's what keeps us going.
How do people find you? How do they contact you?
They can go to my website, bobbywall.com. all my information is up there. They can call my cell phone, 204-218-7474, or just Google my name. I'm extremely easy to find online.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for coming by. Thanks for the chat. This was great. And you are welcome back anytime.
Would love to come back again sometime. Thanks, Dan.